I'm in the waiting room. I got it. Yep. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right.
This meeting is being recorded.
Woo. You guys hear me? It's echoing, huh? Sorry. Is this better? Ooh, I still got my virtual background up. Let's turn up the TV a little. All right, can you guys hear me? Oh shit, it's gonna be bad. You just got me cursing. All right. Well, if we need to talk, I don't know how to do this, but I need to use my computer for this training as well. So maybe I could just make me the host. All right, we good? Can you guys hear me? Sorry, had to get it figured out here. If you want to talk, just let me know because I'm gonna have to turn up the TV. I won't be able to hear you. But anyways, good afternoon, everybody. It's basically the second week of training, right? In the first week in training, what we did was we went over, Monday, Tommy went over the opportunity for you guys. On Tuesday, you got to see Casey teach you about the phones. Wednesday, you got a little bit of Drew. And then throughout the rest of the week, you got what? Basically Tommy again at the end of the week. So, this week is the second half of the presentation. The whole first week, you're supposed to be getting 50 to 75% of the presentation down. How do you guys feel with that? Are we around 50 to 75%? You think? So basically, let's see, that is called the USB video device, maybe. All right. Don't know where that's coming from, but looks crazy, huh? Can you guys still hear me? No? How about now? I'm flopping around on the screen. Do you see this? This looks like some aliens, guys. Right? All right, let's go back here. All right, can you guys hear me again? Yes. All right, cool. So now this week we're gonna learn about the second half of the presentation, which is the life insurance and getting through all the benefits, funeral income, mortgage, and debt, child education protection. So if you're following along in your script here, I'm gonna pull up my presentation just to kind of show you guys like where we should be getting ready to prepare to go over insurance. is when it comes to this blank screen, okay? You know now it's to talk about life insurance. If you're still running the e-app presentation, then it's basically right after the life insurance video, you would go over this. But anyways, there's over 48 different types of life insurance. You know, I'm obviously not going to sit here and name all 48 types, but they fall under the two main umbrellas of term and whole. Okay. Now, term is for the if in life. If you pass away while you have it, you're covered. Anything that you'll ever get offered through your employer will always fall under this category. Okay. Now, it typically works in periods of 10 years, periods of 20 years, and periods of 30 years. Okay. I'm just going to show you an example of a 10-year, $100,000 program. So let's just say, Mo, you were 35, you wanted 100,000, cost you about $1 a day, 30 bucks a month. Okay. Now 10 more years will go down the road and Mo would turn 45. If Mo still wanted this same coverage that he got 10 years prior, what do you think would happen to the cost if you wanted to keep it?
Double.
You got it, Mo. Someone knows their stuff, huh? So you're right. What happens is it would double. And in 10 more years go down the road, you still want that same coverage and it doubles again, right? So the role with term is it doubles, it basically quadruples, and then it ends, right? So when you hit the age of 65, you know, obviously you still need this coverage. You know, this is probably when you need it more than ever. I'll ask the client, I'll say, what do you think happens? And what happens is it either goes right through the roof or they can't afford it, or they just cut them off altogether and they say you're no longer allowed to have it. So guys, we consider it like renting, because families will pay into it over the course of all these years here, right? They'll pay over all these years. They'll make it to this age here, and then they give the keys back to the landlord. There's nothing left. Now, I'm not going to bash it. I'm never going to bash it for the clients. It's great for certain things. It's good for income protection. It's good for mortgage protection. It's good for debt protection. Okay, so I'll write that in there real quick. Mortgage, income, debt, / child education. Okay, so that's what term is typically used for. The other type is called whole life, and that's for the win in life. It's inevitable. We're all going to die. None of us know when, right? So the same person, you know, 35, it's going to be a little bit more upfront, but once they lock it in, it stays that price forever. So you can be 45, you can be 55, you could have a heart attack, get cancer, make it to the age of 100 years old. It's still guaranteed to be there for your family when you pass away. 100% payout. 100% when you die will be there. It's also a tax-free benefit, just so you guys know. So when you pass away, it doesn't get taxed when it goes to your family. Okay. Now, a couple things that we like to mention, you know, is it builds cash value. So we all have bank accounts here, right? Well, or we have to if you want to get paid. If not, you'll get a paper check. Gotta go to like Walmart or something. But basically, with having a bank account, you know, if you have a savings account on a typical bank account down the street, your savings account's going to grow like 0.25% to 0.5%, you know, if you're lucky. This, while it's growing their money, it's growing them at 4.5%. So what I tell the client is not only are you protecting your family, but you're saving money at around 20 times the rate your bank can do it. Okay? The other thing that it does is it develops paid up options. So, you know, just like people pay off a car, just like people pay off a house, you literally can pay off your life insurance. Okay? And that's important because when they're older and they're like 65, if you get a chance to get out to them when they're in the 20s or 30s, you can have them set up to be paid off by the time they hit retired. And explain to them that, look, in retirement, you're going to be on a fixed income. So while you're on a fixed income, why don't we have as much money as available to your family as you can? So while you're working and you have your full income, let's just put a little bit more towards it so that when you're retired, you don't have to. And boom, you get a bigger check. Just giving you guys some sauce. So, term and whole. Ready? Now ask the client. I said, do you understand the difference between term life and whole life? If they don't, you gotta check yourself because you just explained it. Like you should ask yourself, did I just mis-explain it to them? Because it should make sense if you go over this with them, right? And if they still don't know, do it like this. Ready? Term is like renting. Whole life is like owning. You see this? Renting, owning. Okay? So you can do that. And I do that to clients. I had to do that to a client before. I still don't understand the difference. I was like, okay, so term is like renting, whole life is like owning. Term, you rent it, whole life you own it, you keep it forever. Make sense? They're like, oh yeah. And then you follow up and you say, now, they always make me ask, which kind do you think makes the most sense for your family? Which type do you think makes the most sense for your family? And let them tell you. And they should say whole if you explain it the way we're set up to explain it. And then whenever they answer whole, you just ask them why. But if they say term, great. Give them term. Don't be scared to give them term. Term's good too. Okay. So if they say whole, ask them why. They usually say, oh, because you can it's guaranteed forever. You know, it builds up money. Right. If they say term, they might have other plans like, oh, we only need to protect until our kids are out of the house. So give them what they want. Ask them. You have to ask. That's the key thing is you have to ask them. Anybody got any questions on this slide at all? Any questions? And I know some of you guys do it on the board. You know, that's cool. Do it on the board. I just put it on the presentation because I know we got virtual people here and want to make sure you guys can all see it. Because I know when you write on the board, your markers ain't that nice. Any questions on this slide? Anybody at all? Term, whole life, everyone knows the difference between each and how they work. You think you can explain that? Right? Both of you guys up there in the front? You guys good too? Cool. Awesome. Sabrina, all right, you good on this term whole? Just keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Honestly, just say it confidently. And you know what the cool part is? Is it's so easy to explain. You can literally just say term is renting, whole life is owning. Which one makes more sense for your family? And keep in mind, when you're sitting down with younger people, they might not know. So taking that extra minute's okay. But when you're sitting down with seniors, by this time, like, come on, they probably know a little bit about term and home. By this time, if they're like 60, 65, they've heard of it at least, you know, hopefully. If not, break it down for them. All right, so after this slide, we go into what's called the list of concerns. Here, let me clear this drawing. So the list of concerns, the four main reasons people have life insurance, as you see it on the screen there, is basically you now addressing the funeral, the income, the mortgage, and the debt. So that like kind of slide into it. You can be like, it's right here on the script. I'm just gonna read it. It says, so Joe and Mary, over the years, we've all gone through contract negotiations and benefits changes. And it seems like it's always that they give or take, and we start getting less. At the same time, we are paying more. During these contract negotiations and benefits changes, the members, us, you guys, brought a list of concerns to make sure that they had something permanent and portable as a solution to protect those concerns. So now we can dive into it. This is why we're here. This is where we make our money. Ready? So the first concern, and you got to get excited about this, is for final expenses. Now, listen, how's it hard to get excited about final expenses? No one wants to talk about death, right? If you make it like kind of like emotional, they're gonna feel it. You want to make them laugh, make them cry, make them buy throughout the presentation. This might be a part where you make them cry. So hey, you know, Joe and Mary, did you ever ask questions? If something were to happen to either one of you, would you want to be buried or would you want cremated? I asked them. And if he says burial, I said, okay, do you know what the average cost of a burial is? And I'll make them like tell me like what they think it is. I'll ask them, you know, have you had to deal with it in the past? You know, have you ever had to go on through this? I know this by this point because I built rapport with him. But as soon as he answers, I'll start popping it up. I say, yeah, you're right. I'm never gonna disagree with him. Like if he's way off, I'm gonna say, yeah, you're close, right? I'm never gonna say you're wrong. I'm not gonna be like, oh no, Joe, you're wrong. Don't make them feel bad. Make them feel good. So earth burial, 7 to 15,000. Okay, on average, that's today. Cremation, 3 to 7. I honestly say earth burials are 10 to 15,000. They slip 7 in there. I don't know if it's because we're out here in God's country or what, but this is today's prices. In 20 years, this stuff's expected to double. Okay, so 20 years ago, you can say 20 years ago, Joe, a funeral was only 4 to 5,000. A cremation was less than 1. But every 20 years, milk, bread, eggs, gas, whatever you want to call it, it's going to double. Even the materials used to make this table. Go to the lumber yard right now, see how much wood is. It's higher than it's ever been. So this is the only area the expert simulator guys is going to recommend you have whole life protection in place. Okay. The next concern they had was for our loss of income. Right? Well, Joe, imagine if a family member has an income earner and they lost that income earner. They wouldn't be able to live without that breadwinner's earnings. Same if it goes, God forbid, we lost you, Mary, right? So loss of income. I'll ask them, I'll say, do you guys get any life insurance through work? If you didn't figure it out on the FIG, here's the time to at least make sure you figure it out. So, if I figured it out on the FIG, I'll say, no, Joe, you told me you had, 20,000 set up through your employer. Great start. Just so you're aware, Joe, they look to have anywhere between 3 and 5 years of your income protected. Basically saying it's going to be hard enough without that member. Imagine without that member's paycheck. So Joe, it's hard enough without you. They would still make sure your income will come home to your household for anywhere between 3 and 5 years, whatever you pick to choose for your family, okay? And then Mary, same thing for you. If something were to happen to you, we want to make sure that Joe has your income replaced, on both ends, vice versa. The next area is what? Mortgage and debt protection. So what they found is most homeowners had a mortgage. And the problem is the mortgage payment was left behind to the surviving members. So mortgage protection asked them, no, Joe, and you should know from building a rapport because it's a nice home, how long have you lived here? But, Joe, hey, I know you said you had a mortgage on you rent or own your home. Here, we can even start out like that. Joe, do you rent or own your home? Oh, you own it. Okay, great. How long have you been there now? You've been there about 3 years. Okay, now when you bought your house, did you do a 30-year mortgage or a 15-year? There's the two types pretty much, 30 and 15, guys, just so you know. Okay? So did you do a 30-year or a 15-year? Oh, you did a 30-year. So you've been there 3 years, got about 27 left in? I just did the math for them. Playing the guessing game takes too long sometimes. Joe, how many years you got left on your mortgage? Like, sometimes they can't even figure it out, so I just do it for them. So 27 years left. All right, now, Joe, if something were to happen to you, how much would be left to pay off the house? Those are just some things I'll ask the client during this time. Mortgage and rent protection, we completely pay it off. If it's rent, we typically just tie it into the income, but you can protect 3 to 5 years of the rent. Say, hey, Joe, I know you're renting this home right now, but if something were to happen to you, when do you want to make sure that your family doesn't have to move to a less desirable neighborhood, or maybe have the kids change schools right away, right? So why don't we at least, extend the rent for 5 years if God forbid you didn't come home. This way, little Susie can get at least through grade school, right? Gotta be creative. Gotta be creative, guys. You gotta know their situation too. That's why you gotta build good rapport. And then the last area is child education or debt. So if one parent or both parents were to pass away, the chances for a child going to college went down drastically. I always say this, and it works every time. Joe, if you want your kids to go to college, great. If you're no longer here, can we give them that opportunity? Woo! It can cost anywhere between $20,000 and $100,000 per child to get an education. That right there, guys, I get an $8.34 check on every house just by saying that line. If you want your kids to go to college, great. Joe, if you're no longer here, can we give them an opportunity? You don't think they're going to say no to that, right? No to their kids getting an opportunity to go to college. Even if they don't want to go to college and want to start their own business, it'd still be set up for them. I make $50 by saying that line. I swear. All right. Because 834 times 12 is 100. Divide it in half and make $50. If anyone was wondering. Which you make $50 every time you set an appointment too, just so you guys know. All right, now, even though we were able to, go through these huge concerns, they wanted to make sure we had something that was affordable and the members can try to qualify for. So basically, as of us going over, your situation, Joe, they always make me ask, if you only got to choose one of these 4 areas to have protected, what would be the most important to you? And what do you think? When they pick it, okay? So let's just say most husbands, just for an example, they'll say either income or mortgage. It's typically what I get, okay? The wife usually says education or the mortgage. They really always love their home, okay? So keep that in mind. But once they pick it, let's just say, he said the mortgage and she said the education. Soon as he picked his, I would circle it. You see how I just circled it? I'll say, well, why did you say the mortgage? And I'd make him sell himself on why the mortgage. Oh, because this is where, you can, home is where the heart is. I don't know, say something goofy, right? Whatever he says. We built this house with my bare hands, right? You ever go out in the country? So then the wife, why did you say child education? Oh, is it because, you want to make sure that the kids have a better life than you? Okay, great. Now, listen, whatever they chose, write this down. This is the most important part of the closing process. This is the most important part of the closing process. This is the most important part of the closing process. You guys got that? This is the most important part of closing process. I want you guys to understand that because that right here is the most important part of the closing process. Is you get them to pick which one they felt was the most important to them. And once they pick it, it's theirs. They ain't giving it back. It's theirs. They took it. All right. So at least get them the mortgage. At least get her the education. Slap it on there. Give them what they want. Don't be trying to sell them whole life if they, don't want no whole life. I've seen that happen before. I've had a trainee say, Josh, I had a great sit, man, but she was wanting term life, and I was trying to tell her she needed whole life, and she just told me at the end she didn't want it. I was like, why didn't you just give her what she wanted? Just give her what she wants, man. So when they pick this, at least give them what they want. Okay? Try and keep it simple for you. So now once you get through that, you roll into your needs analysis, right? And once they pick it, just know the next step and the most important part of the closing process is assuming the sale. All right, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But it's gonna go to the freedom of choice, which I typically stop sharing my screen, and then look, I'm prepared. So my next screen that I share is the needs analysis. Okay. So Joe, your last no cost benefit is your needs analysis. What I like about it is it takes into account your current situation and it determines if you have any gaps in your coverage. If you have any gaps in your coverage, it's going to show you what it recommends. However, if there's no gaps, nothing's going to pop up. Now, Joe, what I like about it is it's like a little financial advisor. Have you ever been to a financial advisor before, Joe? No? Okay. If you ever were to go to one, what they would do is they would put in place a plan for your future. But before they put that plan in place, they would look to make sure the plan was protected. Because most financial advisors, they actually charge their clients anywhere between $600 and $1,000 a year to do this for them. And it's the first thing they do is they look to make sure the plan's protected. Because without that client, the plan can never happen. Does that make sense? So Joe, the union figured, most of our members were usually working all the time and they didn't really have time to go sit down with an advisor. So they actually set this last no cost benefit up for you at no cost. Okay. So basically, Joe, this top part here, this could be for your AIL Plus card. I got your email, nojoe@AILife. Your address is 123 Happy Street. Okay, got all that in there. Now, your needs analysis part,
We got you in here, Joe. Let's put Mary in here, Mary Smith. And Mary, what's your birthday? Okay, your birthday, August 2nd, 93. All right. And then we got little Susie, we said, right? Susie Smith. All right, perfect. What's Susie's birthday? February 11th. No way, mine's the 10th. How about that? Haha. Right? So, scrolling down here, guys, just I got you in here as a family. Just a few questions based on you guys. And here's another thing too: is when you get their birthdays in here, the husband and the wife. You know, whenever she says hers, you can be like, so my question is, who chased who, huh? Right? It gets them laughing a little bit, right? And especially if the woman's older, sometimes I'll be like, okay, Joe, I see you chasing them older women, right? No, I just like to have fun with them guys, make them laugh, make them cry, make them buy, right? So now we're rolling down into the needs analysis. Just a few questions based on the two of you. Any internal cancers in the past 2 years? Breast, colon, pancreatic? No? Okay. Any insulin diabetes? No? Okay. Any cardiovascular diseases? Heart attacks, strokes, vascular diseases? No? Okay. Any oxygen tanks? Nope. All right. Any terminal illnesses? Alzheimer's? Sometimers? Right? Have you used tobacco in the past 12 months? That includes vaping, guys. They can't be vapors. If they're vapors, they're tobacco users. Make sure you get an honest answer on this too, because these affect the rates. And the worst is like when they tell you no, and then it comes back that they are, because then they try not to like really want, you know what I mean? Because it's like $10 more a month. So make sure you know if they're a smoker or not. If you see them smoking a cigarette, just click the damn button. You know what I'm saying? Like, just click it because it's going to protect you and you're being honest. That's what your job is, to be honest and fill out this application. So, next part. You guys behaving? Is anyone on probation or parole? No? All right. Awesome. Not yet. All right. Arrested or convicted of any DUIs? No? Okay, great. Awesome. Just not getting caught, huh? So roughly, what would you say, Joe, your take home pay per month would be? And that's after taxes, take home, okay? 4,000? All right, great. Mary, what about yours? 1,000? Okay, perfect. And then how much life insurance do you have through work? Joe, you told me you had that 20,000, right? Okay. Mary, do you have anything? No? Okay. And then outside of work, you don't have anything, but Mary, you told me your mom got you a $10,000 policy when you were little? Okay, got it. And then what, Joe, you said the car insurance, you had some term life, right? What, 100,000? Gotcha, perfect. Is that on Mary as well? No? Okay. All right, and then you guys told me you owned your home, right? And I'm just filling this out. I just went over all this on the circle, so I'm typically just walking them through it, filling it out. And you told me what, around 270,000 left, right? Something were to happen. All right, interest rate, guys, just so you know, it doesn't matter. You can put any number in there. Just use like 3 or 4%. And the years remaining does matter. The balance and the years remaining matters, okay? And then always click checking. See checking? Make sure you always click checking here, all right? You can ask them how much you save for your children's education. Most people don't save anything, to be honest with you, especially over the past year. It's been tough for them. Checking, all right? And then I always make sure it includes inflation. See down here, inflation. This gets you a bigger check, all right? Now, once you hit submit, it's gonna think, right? So what I'll typically do is I'll stop sharing again and just say this is a union member. All right, there's a lot of you guys on here today. Look at all you guys, sharp. All right, cool. Looking good, boys. Let's see here. So when that happens, I'll typically pull this back up and I'll go right into the letter, which I'm not gonna be able to click because of this bar. I can't move the bar. Let's see if I do this. If I funnel it this way, we'll see, look at us. We're making it happen. Do you guys see that? All right, so I'll typically pull it down when I hit submit and pull up their letter. All right, if you're sitting down with a union member, pull up their letter. Nothing else is hitting home like this letter, guys. I'm telling you, this letter is key. I wish I would have known. I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't really start using this letter until like a couple years ago. But if I would have been using this letter from the day I started, I'd have made way more sales. All right, so that's just a little tip if you want to make sure you don't forget. All right, so read it off to him. So while the computer was thinking, they just got this mandatory read off letter that I have to read to you. So it says, Dear brothers and sisters, the insurance programs being offered you today are made available on a voluntary basis through the cooperation of the SEIU, HCII, and American Income Life Insurance Company. 100% union label company with a long-standing history of serving union members and their families. American Income Life currently has over 330,000 SEIU members covered under AD&D policies at no cost. And since 1990, more than 32 million in total benefits have been paid out to SEIU members and their families. Cheers to that, right? So AIL supplemental benefits are not in competition with any group benefits through your workplace employer, and they can complement any policies you may already have. If you choose to take advantage of any of the programs offered through AIL, your benefits program is permanent and portable throughout your lifetime. AIL supplemental benefits include automatic built-in features to help union members during hard times, such as strike and layoff waiver of premium benefit. American Income Life Insurance provides insurance services to millions of policyholders throughout the United States, Canada, and New Zealand, and have over $50 billion of insurance in force. If you qualify, your coverage lasts a lifetime and is your independent control. Once the program has been explained to you, we'll show you agreement with the many participating members how valuable this program can be in a time of need. There are several benefits available. Please take a few minutes to listen to the AIL representative who is visiting you. If they can help you your needs in this area, please take advantage today. We would like your feedback, so please take a minute to complete the report form. This information helps serve you more effectively. In solidarity, Greg Kelly, who's the president of your union down there. Look, I'm not even good at reading, but I managed to get through it, guys. So you got to get through it, all right? Just read the letter. I'm telling you, when you read the letter, it's like, hello, right after the letter, very, 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 very important paragraph. It's called So Basically, all right? So basically, Joe and Mary, here's the way that it works. Is if we're going through these benefits and you're thinking, wow, these are really some great benefits, I can see why it's so popular with a lot of members, then go ahead and apply today. On the flip side, if I'm going through these benefits and you're thinking to yourself, you know what, these are really some great benefits, but they just don't feel a need for me or my family right now, then I'm actually going to ask you not to apply. Either way, yes or no, that decision does have to be made today during your service period, in fairness to all the other members waiting to be seen. The good thing about these benefits is they're pretty much a no-brainer. So you'll know at the end whether or not it does make sense for you or your family. Does that make sense, Joe and Mary? Okay, great. Either way, your group still does value your opinion on the officer report form. It's basically like my report card. It just goes back to the union to let them know I'm doing a good job for you. And those are our Google reviews. So listen, make sure the presentation's going good before you give them your Google review link, because you don't want them to get on there and say, man, that Juan kid, he was a real tool. You know, so just make sure that you always leave positive. That's why Tommy talked about it today in the meeting as well. Always leaving positive with the members, and when you leave positive, you should get a positive Google review. Like, they shouldn't be giving you a 3-star or a 4-star Google review. You should get a 5-star Google review. You know what I'm saying? So get your name up on there. All right. Anyways, so I read the letter. At that point, now we're into the benefits. Just so you guys know, all right, just so you guys know, this is for you, all right? This is for you, the agent, okay? So what's FE? Final expense. Just so you guys know, FE is final expense. IP, income protection. MP, mortgage protection. CE, child education, okay? So that's going to go over all that for the husband. For the wife, it's going to go over funeral expense and income protection. You don't need to sit there and tell the client that right here. This is just for you to know as the agent what it's going to go on, so you know how long to kind of gauge yourself, okay? So hit continue. Once you hit continue, here's the generic letter. So if your union doesn't have a letter, or if you're sitting down with a referral, a child safety kit, a will kit, read this letter, okay? And it pops up. You have to read it before you can even go forward. Boom. Now, you ready for this? And I know you guys didn't watch this video yet. So let me do this here. Share sound. So what we're gonna do is ready? Let's examine the need for final expense protection.
The warmth of family is one of the most beautiful and valued things in life. For this reason, saying goodbye to a loved one can be difficult, and even more so when we are not prepared. The emotional distress adds to the financial burden. It can be devastating to lose the family savings or even the family inheritance. The average cost of a funeral continues to rise, and these expenses can be higher depending on where you live. Keep in mind that funeral and cemetery expenses increase each year due to inflation and other economic factors. At 4% a year for the next 20 years, the cost of a funeral will have risen above $30,000. Expenses become even more overwhelming when you consider that Social Security only pays a $255 death benefit, and that's if you qualify. That still leaves all of the expenses for your family to cover. The last thing we want is to leave our loved ones in this kind of situation when we perish, isn't it? That's why it is important to anticipate for future events with preparation. Otherwise, who would be responsible for those unforeseen and sometimes escalating expenses that no one is ready for? We all want our last goodbye to bring comfort and leave a loving memory of us in the hearts of our loved ones. However, these good feelings can be diminished when we do not have coverage for final expenses and a burden is presented that could mean thousands and thousands of dollars. For this situation, American Income Life recommends our whole life policy along with the Freedom of Choice certificate.
Real quick, if you're doing an in-home, this is where you typically will pull out your freedom of choice and kind of slap it on your computer. You know what I mean? Like, just make sure they know it's there.
The process is simple and can be used to cover your final expenses up to the face value of your policy. Your beneficiary takes the certificate to the chosen funeral home, agrees to the service details, and writes the total amount on the back, signs it, and hands the certificate to the funeral home director. When the service is needed, the funeral home director calls the number on the certificate to speak directly to a claims representative. Payment is made directly from our company to the funeral home, and the remainder, if any, is paid to the beneficiary in a lump sum check. The decision is simple, and your family deserves it. Obtain final expense coverage, which allows you to have the Freedom of Choice certificate. That way, you will help avoid many problems for your loved ones. Today, you can enjoy the tranquility of knowing, in that inevitable moment, there will be peace. If you're giving them the best today, prepare for tomorrow. Leave them only beautiful memories. Love is shown with action.
All right, so, guys,
I have a quick question, real quick.
let's get it.
On the back of the Freedom of Choice certificate, in the video, it told you to write down the price, and what we've been told is you're supposed to cross that out and not do that.
All right, so you never want to cross out the funeral box. Here's the freedom of choice.
Yeah.
Never, here, let me stop sharing. You never want to cross out the where's it at? Oh, the amount of the funeral. You never want to cross that out because that's where
Yeah.
that's where they'll fill it in. So real quick, great question. Ready? I'm gonna recap it for you. Now, after that video, you want to bring them back. All right, Joe. The reason why they had me play that clip for you there is really two things. One, it actually refreshes you on actually everything that goes into a funeral. I mean, guys, nowadays a funeral is almost as big as a wedding. The only difference between a wedding and a funeral is a wedding, you can plan it out for a year. Heck, you can move it another year. You can even cancel it if you wanted to. But a funeral, you got like 2 or 3 days. That's it, right? So the worst time of your family's life, what the company did was they created your freedom of choice to keep things simple. Now, how this works, Paul, is at the worst time of your family's life, not if but when, they would go down to their choice of any funeral home. Okay? Now they're not going to go into that funeral home saying, "Hey, Paul had 30,000. What can I get?" Because guess how much they're going to charge your family, right? 30,000. So what we do is we just put a policy number here. It allows your family to negotiate the cost here. Once they come up with the amount, they actually just fill it in down here, sign it like a blank check, hand this certificate over to the funeral home director, and they're done. They don't have to do anything from that point on. Now, at the worst time of your family's life, Paul, that funeral home, they want paid when? When do you think they want paid?
Not a lot.
They want it now. See how I made him answer? I'm not letting him give me the head nod. I'm talking about if I'm with a client, I'm making him interact with me. Okay? So yeah, they want it now. So basically, Paul, instead of the funeral home bothering your family for a check, he'll simply just call this number on the front here. They'll send out 2 checks immediately. One for whatever was negotiated on the back, going directly to the funeral home. Anything left over will go back to your family within a week in a lump sum, tax-free check to wrap up additional costs. Now, Paul, do you have any questions on how your freedom of choice certificate works? No. I usually make them answer. I'm gonna let you slide here. All right. And then I'll ask Mary the same thing. Mary, Gabby, do you have any questions on how your freedom of choice certificate works? Right? And guess whose freedom of choice certificate it is now, guys? It's theirs. It's no longer yours. It's theirs now. Because I asked him, I said, do you have any questions on how your freedom of choice certificate works? And he said, no. I'm killing him with it. Killing them with it. It's all psychology. You got to know the psychology behind stuff too. Start telling people it's theirs before it's theirs, right? I tell them it works. It works. So once they tell me no, okay, perfect. So the expert simulator, you guys listen to my verbiage. The expert simulator recommends, Joe, for you to have at least $30,000 of whole life coverage enforced to guarantee that your funeral and final expenses will never be a burden to your family ever again. Right now, it's actually showing you have an existing of 0. So the expert simulator was recommending you had that need of 30,000 protected so that your funeral and final expenses wouldn't be a burden to your family ever again, okay? Now, Mary, the expert simulator is recommending 30,000 for you as well. You actually have an existing of 20. So it was recommending at least having another 20,000 in place. And the expert simulator was recommending making sure you had that need protected so that your funeral and final expenses wouldn't be a burden to the children if, God forbid, something were to happen to Joe before you or, you after, right? So the next areas, let's examine the need for monthly income protection. I'm not going to play this clip for them, guys. I typically just pop right through it. I'll show them, Joe, the expert simulator shows 5 years being roughly around $250,000. You actually have 120, that's 20 through your employer and 100 through your car insurance. So you would actually need another 120,000 to have the full 5 years protected. And Joe, the expert simulator was recommending making sure you had that extra need of 120,000 protected so that you would have a full 5 years of your income set up for Mary and the kids. Now, Mary, 5 years of your income came out to about 60,000. You have an existing of 0. The expert simulator showing a need of the whole 60, and it actually was recommending making sure you had it protected so that your 5 years of your income will be taken care of as well. All right, cool.
I have a question.
What's up?
For the income, like I guess 5 years, in the system it already puts 5 years, or you put that?
No, so it takes into account what you put in monthly for their take-home pay. So like we put in Joe make 4,000, her 1,000. Now it's going to use about 5 to 6% of what they bring home a month to show them a plan. Now it recommended 5 years. Sometimes it will pop up with 3 if they make like lower income. Like if he only made like 2,000 and she made 1, it might do 3 years of income for him. You know what I mean? Because it's going to take in consideration about 5 to 6% of what they bring home to create a plan for them. Okay. Great question though. It's different for everybody. Sometimes it's 1 year shows, so just depending on what they bring home, it's creating this in its own world. The next is going to be mortgage protection. So let's examine the need for mortgage protection. Now, basically, the expert simulator is showing this on the primary. See that primary? That's Joe, okay? So Joe, the expert simulator is recommending you had $270,000 protected for your mortgage. It's showing right now you actually have an existing with zero, so you still have a need of 270,000. The expert simulator was recommending making sure you had that full need of 270 protected, because if something were to happen to you, that literally just pays off the house for your family, okay? And then the last area, guys, is just going to be for the kids' education. And like we
As
discussed, with the kids' education, it was going to recommend $100,000 per child for them to get an education. It looks like it was using what's called accidental death. ADB is accidental death. Okay. Sometimes it will use a term. Sometimes it will use accidental death based on their income, what they bring home a month. Keep an eye on that. I usually like to use just ADB. Why? Because it's the cheapest and they're always going to usually want to put it on there. All right, so this is their area, guys. This is basically that circle we went over. This is them broken down. All right, and you can show them that, like, hey, this is your situation all broken down for your family. Now, if you're going into laptop closing, I'll tell you this: if you're going into laptop closing, you basically can just hit continue. All right. If you're not going into laptop closing, if you're going into ABC closing, you guys know how people ABC close, like they write options down, then I would recommend you pulling your screen back, okay, before you hit continue. If you're going into laptop closing, all right, then you can just hit continue. So I'm going to hit continue to show you guys what's going to pop up next. Look, I'm not even going to say nothing, but I'm going to ask you guys, ready? What do you think the first thing they see is? The price. It's the first thing they look at is that price. And they're like, oh shit. So this can sticker shock some people, because if they make good income, it'll show them $500, $600, $700 a month. All right. It takes in consideration what they make. I just want you guys to know if you're going to ABC and pull it back before this, so you can show them some options. Now, you always got to click next benefit, next benefit, next benefit, until it says continue. Boom. All right. So you can make adjustments to the rates right on here if you wanted to. Like if you wanted to give 50,000, you can just type in 50,000 and hit recalculate. Watch. 50,000, recalculate, boom, makes the adjustment. All right. But if you're going into straight laptop closing, you just basically say, all right, Joe, so it looks like, to have everything protected that we went over for you today, it was going to come out to $271 a month. Now, the recommended premium for you, actually for you, Joe, was going to be $275, and it got you in at $264.90. So that actually saved you about $10 a month on your program. And that's taken in consideration their 5.5%. Okay. If you're ABC closing these people, you definitely want to make sure before you show them the options, you ask them that very, very important question. It says, Joe, they always make me ask, if you were to set aside just $5 for every $100 that you brought home in your check every month to protect your family, God forbid something were to happen to you, would that drastically change your lifestyle or take food off the table? No? Okay, because what they didn't want to do was show you something that you really love but couldn't afford. Now listen, I don't really laptop close. I would say that line before I hit continue and that price popped up. Okay? So if you're laptop closing, right before you know how I showed you guys how to hit continue, say that line. If you're ABCing, I straight up, I ABC. I ask them right before I show them the rates. Okay? Just came to my head as we're going through this, because I know there's different ways of closing. All right, now, you can add stuff on down here as well. So you can always add stuff right here on the benefits page. But to be honest with you, just hit continue, get your butt into the super combo, and create the plan. Something simple. If you want to keep it simple coming up, doing your first 100 presentations, I was taught this, was just show them 100,000, 50,000, and 30,000 for your options. Here's the rate box. This is the male. This is A, this is B, these are the kids. So look, A, see the B, see the C1, right? is the husband, the B box is the spouse, the C box is the kid. Okay? And these are all the kids. You're gonna learn more about EAP this coming week. Sorry, it's sliding around, but I just want you guys to know, like, typically this is where you get in and start banging out the rates. You know, like 100 here, just so you guys know, for whole life, WL, you're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. WL is gonna go from 0 to 30,000. PR is called preferred life. It's gonna go from 30,100 to 49,999. Executive life, these are all whole lives, by the way, is 50,000 to 99,999, right? And then SL is select life, and that's 100,000 plus. You'll learn about all these. You can click on the boxes, play around. ADB's right here. Waiver premium. You always want to make sure you add that on. But listen, I just went over the first few things. So term and whole, the needs analysis. It's all I'm supposed to go over for you guys. All right. We spent about an hour on it. Why don't you guys take 10, 15 minutes? You know, stay clean, brush your teeth, go do whatever you need to do. And then come back, and then we're gonna pair each other up, and we're gonna practice that. So what I want you to do is I want you to pull up your presentation, all right? Get your EAP pulled up, and we're gonna go from the needs analysis through those benefits, okay? But before the needs analysis, you're gonna have your slides pulled up because we gotta go over term and whole. Now, if you do it on a board, there's a board right here. There's also one right behind each one of you, so you'll be good. But we'll pair you guys up together and we'll run through it about 10, 15 minutes. Why don't you guys come back at, with my shit's an hour behind, so 1:53, say like 2:05, 2:10, 2:10. It's my birthday. All right. See you guys soon.
Let's do it.
Any questions while I'm here? You know, you guys got any questions?
Just saying that, I don't know, it just came in my mind that Vince was telling us about how to not say premium and instead say like your monthly investment is going to be this, your monthly investment is going to be this. So if you're doing a laptop close.
Great question. You'll learn all that this week, you know, how to really pitch your options. I'm just getting you guys through term and whole and the no cost benefit, in the actual benefits, not the no cost. We went over that last week. Cool.
Yes, sir.
See you soon, Mo.
All right.
Been hearing good things about you, Mo.
You know it, baby. We're here to talk money.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's go, Mo.
I just had a quick question. On the freedom of choice, for the negotiation part, so do you tell them to call that number and the funeral home negotiates the cost, or do they have to negotiate it and they call that number for the check?
So I would rather my family negotiate something than somebody else. So I tell them to, not the actual person who's dying, obviously, but their beneficiary. So what I do is I get the beneficiaries written down on a piece of paper, and I call the beneficiary and I set them up for an appointment after, right? And then I go over this, and then I sell them this too. That's
Okay.
how we're talking about money, Mo said. So that's it. But yeah, great question. So you would want their beneficiary to negotiate the price.
With the funeral home?
Yes.
And then
you want to tell the beneficiary to be good at negotiating because then they can get some money.
Right.
You know.
All right, Josh, we'll let you go, man. I know it's your birthday, so.
No, it ain't my birthday. 2/10 is my birthday. Come on, man.
Right.
So I'll see you guys at 2/10. All right.
I got you, brother.
You
Hey Josh, I got a quick question. I don't know if you can hear me.
1 second.
Gotcha.
What's your question? It might be his.
Yeah, I was doing one of the homework assignments and like, for example, one of the primary spouse made like 1,500 a month and then the wife made like 750.
Mhm.
And then it came up that like that was not valid.
Yeah,
So would you factor that into the primary or?
you have to at least put 1,000.
Okay.
1,000 minimum on that one. That was a trick to see what you would, if you even did it, to be honest, because most people, you know what I mean? We know, because then you always ask that question, so I know you did your homework. You know what I'm saying? You're like, I'm trying to do my homework, and I can't do it because it's not letting me. You're doing it right. What's up? What's up, Juan?
My bad. So I talked with Matt this morning. I don't have my e-app set up, and he said he talked to Drew, but he hasn't really gotten back to me. So
Okay. We
just
can,
because you said we're going over that here in a sec.
so we can have it pulled up on here, and you can just we can walk you through it or something,
Okay.
or whoever you're practicing with will help you. Cool.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to see what I'd do for that.
So,
Me and Vinny don't have one either.
don't have an e-app. Okay, we gotta get.
No, we got what was it? The other website that you use the for the phone calls, we got that one, but we didn't have the app now.
Gotcha. So e-app's gonna go on your guys' computer. Tell Jay, let's get that taken care of for you guys today. All right, so we'll get that taken care of for you guys today too. That's definitely something on the list.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So guys, listen, I know we got a few different teams here. You guys kind of know each other. We can pair up with, you guys who've been practicing a little bit and keep it going, or you completely randomize you guys. How do you want to do it? Don't matter. I think maybe just keeping you guys together because you know each other's presentation is gonna help. So basically, why don't Vinny and Sabrina go over it? Juan and Nicole, Mo and Gabby, right? Mo and Gabby, and then Paul. We got these two here with these two. Okay, so you'll be live and virtual, just like Nicole, Nikki. I don't even know if she goes by that. But anyways, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create breakout rooms. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with breakout rooms. I don't even know if he has them on here. But let's see. Yeah. Yeah, so if you guys got your computer here, one of you guys got a computer here? I'll give you the login. We can use my computer too. All right, here, let me, Gabby and Mo, that's open. 1 second, we got one, and once Nikki gets here, all right, so boom, those two rooms are open. You guys can join them. Listen, practice from tournament hole through the e-app. Now, if you don't have the e-app, have your partner pull it up. See you in a few.
All right.
All right.
Hey Josh, can I do it on the board? I've learned how to do it on the board.
Yeah, you can do it on the board, man.
All right. If you want some action, you're welcome to join our, private room. What is it called?
Yeah, I'm gonna join through them. So I'm gonna join through them.
All right.
Everyone's set up, and I'm gonna skip through them and join on them.
Okay.
Do one of you guys got a computer?
Oh, yeah.
All right.